Greetings, Minecrafters! Nonsanity here, and welcome to episode 9 of All the Mod 6. It is time to continue and finish the Botania setup over there in that cube just above my head, and even cheese the Gaia Guardian. Let's get started. Yep, cheese is on the menu, but first, I've been doing some rearranging in here, and I think it's looking pretty cool. Let's pop inside. I have lowered the floor, so now there's just 2 blocks of space down there. I've also rearranged these so that the 4 what are they called? Pure daisies. For each type, the wood and the stone, let's go ahead and mine these up, are arranged in a new, more compact fashion over here. This is the same setup I had before for the Petal Apothecary to refill it. Just slightly rearranged for the smaller space down here. That gives us more room to do things upstairs. Which you notice, I've got these elevator blocks because I've got 2 floors to work with now. You can see that the floor used to be where this chest was, because that was sitting on the grass. So it's gone down 2 spaces. So, let's see what we got here. This is the new arrangement. Let's start upstairs. These are the catwalks from Engineered Decor. And it's really nice that, let's see, let's pick one of these up. There we go. And then if we right-click this with an empty hand, say remove camouflage, that is the elevator block. Now see, I've got to jump on top of it. But if you right-click it with a block, it takes on the appearance of that block, and it's collision box, so it works fine with the catwalks. Now just to make it easier to center myself on it, I put up a railing on this side of this block and this side of this block. You can't put the railings on this block itself because it'll then look like a railing by itself with no floor, and you'd fall through. So this works pretty well, and I've got railings around all the platforms here. And you can see I've expanded on the 2 of these things we had before, and I've put the endoflames in floating mode. Floating, let's see, to make a floating flower, you need to make pasture seeds, which is putting grass into a mana pool. And then you take any flower and combine it with 2 glowstone, and you get a glimmering flower. Glimmering flower, pasture seed, and dirt gets you a floating flower of whatever that flower was. And then you can combine this flower with an endoflame to get a floating endoflame. This works for many of the generation flowers. And functional flowers as well. And it lets you make them in a more compact space vertically. They don't no longer need to be placed on grass, and they look pretty cool too. So I've also simplified the programming of these things. Let me get, nope, wrong button. Get a couple of these cards, and I'll show you the programming. So I've got the entity reader back here. It's designed just to get a list of the item drops floating in front of it, which is just a blaze mesh. And then you just want to check to see if it's empty. Using this symbol here. It says this list, if it's empty, this becomes true, otherwise it's false. And you put this true false here, and you put this variable card in a variable store. You can see I've got 1 for each of the 8 setups up there. I don't need these, I will clear them. Before I was checking to see if the mana was full, but I realized, notice that these have the blaze mesh sitting on them. When you put this card in here, you do have to make a few changes with this plus button. Lifespan 9 9s. 999999999. That's a little over 1.5 years before the item ejected by this device will despawn. The server won't be here that long. This is basically forever. So when it spits one out, it'll just sit there until it's needed. So I don't have to worry, are the pools full, which they all are right now, and not spit one out because it'll despawn if it's not used. Now they won't despawn. So just pop one out whenever there's not one there. So much simpler. Besides the setting the time to 9, I set the velocity to 0, so it's always right there in the center. And I set the item transfer rate to 1, so it only spits out 1. As you can see, this is in the place all item entities. All item entities. Which means they all have to pull from this. This is the only white inventory interface. And all that's on here are blaze meshes. So it's definitely going to get a blaze mesh, so I don't have to specify that either. And these are all just connected up to a cable that runs around, not all the way around the room, but does run to all of them. And then down to the variable store and the supply of blaze mesh. With these railings, I can't get close enough to pick them up either, because the pickup time is set to default, which I think is half a second. Yeah, half a second, 10 ticks. If you set that higher, these things can't pick up the blaze mesh until that timer runs out. Which is sort of odd, because they're really just destroying it and adding some fuel to themselves, but I guess they do call the pickup command. Whereas the Petal Apothecary, which I've rearranged, on the dropper for it, let's get up here, I've left the lifespan at 5 minutes. 6,000 ticks is 5 minutes. That's the default. That's fine. I've set the pickup delay to half that, so 2.5 minutes. That's so that the item pickup thing doesn't try and pick up the ingredients, only the output. Velocity is also set to 0. Transfer rate is kept default to stack. But the channel I set to 1, and this is on channel 1. Don't forget to hit save. Just in case I had those cables down there connected to this, I didn't want it picking up from the other source of ingredients down below. This is a clear crystal barrel. I upgraded these to diamond barrels to give them a bit more room. And I thought it'd be cool to see, this is only a sort of a buffer chest. So when this thing makes stuff, it puts it in this chest. And then everything gets dumped that's in this chest. If I put something in here now, it'll get dropped into the Petal Apothecary. I thought it'd be cool to see them, but they don't actually show up. Let's tell it to make a hopper hawk craft. Yeah, I didn't see them show up in the chest. But as it dropped the ingredients, if it's waiting for this thing to fill back up again, and they just sort of sit there, I didn't want this item picker-upper, world item importer, to grab them. So that's why I give it the delay. And then this thing is set to honor. Ignore pickup delay? False. So it honors the pickup delay. So for 2.5 minutes, if those things drop, this will not pick them up. After 2.5 minutes, something's gone wrong. It'll go ahead and put them back in the system. So there's the 3 recipe cards. So that's the same as before, and I can cancel using this terminal if there's something gone wrong. So yeah, I turned it around because this Petal Apothecary really spits things out randomly all over the place. And this item importer only looks at the block directly in front of it. So the airspace just above the pedestal. Pedestal's a little taller than a block, visually, but it doesn't actually take up this space. This is airspace. So trapped like it is with glass and the outer wall of the compact machine, its output will stay there so this thing can pick it up. And the output doesn't have any sort of time pickup limit on it. It's a new creation of the Petal Apothecary, ready to be picked up. And it is. And put back here in the chest. So there's our Hopper Hawk, which I'll put away for later. We'll be needing them. Over here, I've rearranged the Rune Altar, which we can get at through here. For the same reason, it was spewing its output all over the place. This confines it. I put 2 up here because there are so many different runes. This is the 4 elements, air, water, earth, fire, the magic, the 4 seasons, And then I have Pride and Asgard. So I needed more than one. I can add more to the sides if I need even more than that. But I made it 2 different chests just to make it balanced. And these are set to interface channel 1. So whatever these guys put in gets sucked out on channel 1 and sent to the item dropper, which also has the huge lifespan, so anything it drops will not despawn. And again, the 2.5 minute delay. Yeah, so it's very similar. Now, I don't need to have this guy in the back, and I don't need to have this variable store down here. They're just so that I can have this numeric display of how much mana is being used. So let's say we make a Rune of Air. Let's make 2 of them. Start. So now we can see the mana being sent in. And it acts like a little timer, let you know when it's going to be done. And it's still got the item user down below with the Wand of the Forest. Set to click every 2 seconds. That doesn't do any harm. It only has an effect when this thing is full of mana. Click. Because I turned it around, and because I wanted this extra block, if I didn't have... It needs to have this reader, I need to have this block reader here to get at the NBT data. That's what this card is. And then it's... I showed you all this last time. Mana and mana to get are the 2 fields off of the NBT data. Mana and mana to get. Put a card in. Select each of these, put a card in. Those are those 2 cards. And then this is just the difference between the mana to get minus the mana that's in it. Shows you how much mana is left, and that's the countdown. If I didn't have that, I could get rid of this bit of piping down here, move this up 1. And then these 2 mana spreaders would have a clear line of sight to the runic altar. But with this cable there, it was blocking their beams. So I made lenses for these, which have phantom and velocity. Phantom means it will go the mana beam will go through blocks. Velocity just speeds up how fast the beams travel, so you get more beams, and just means the mana doesn't take as long to build up. For these guys, I made velocity and potency. Velocity, again, is how fast the beam travels. Potency is how much mana is sent. That just makes them beam down faster. These are mana splitters, so each of these mana spreaders are aimed at the splitter, which then splits it to the 4 pools around it. So you have the 16 pools down here fed by these 4 spreaders. And up here, all of these are aimed at this spreader, which puts it to these 4 pools, which are attached to those spreaders down below. You lose a little bit of mana when you send it a second time, which is why I try to minimize how many steps. There's just 2 steps in this setup. Could give these, have these shoot straight down to the spreaders below and skip this whole section. But I sort of liked it like this. It's fine. One thing to note when placing these, you want to place the spreader first, then place all of the endoflames, so they link to the spreader. But these are all close enough that if I were to place this one, and then look at the... Okay, you can see when I aim the wand at it, it lights up this spreader. So it is attached to that spreader. And that one is. Let's see if I can find one that's not going to do what you expect. I know some of them did. Somewhere around here. Oh. Ah, there we go. You see, this one is now connected to that spreader. It's closer to this one, but I don't know what its rules are for finding the one it's going to link to. It's not the closest one, unfortunately. But what you do is with the wand, if you right-click in, or crouch right-click in the air, you can see it down above my hotbar. It says bind mode, function mode. Switches between the two. Make sure it's in bind mode, then crouch right-click the flower, crouch right-click the spreader. And now it's bound to the spreader. If when you do that, let's see, it's switched to function mode. If you try this in function mode, it's going to make that spin. That's why you know you need to switch it, bind it, and then this needs to be bound to here. There we go. It's easy to do that, especially when you're setting up a lot, to accidentally right-click it in the air and change its mode, and then things get twisted around. Don't break the spreader. If you do, you have to hand bind all of its endoflames to the new spreader, or break them all and replace them and then fix any, like any in this column would probably be bound to this guy. Actually, anything on this side would be bound to this guy. But right now they're all correct. You just want to go around and make sure they're all attached to the right spreader. Mainly these on the sides, not the corners. The corners are so much closer to that one than any other one. They're fine. Just these ones on the sides and the two sides. The middle is fine, but the sides can attach the wrong one. All right. That is everything that's here now. Let's start with the next thing we need to do. That's over here. We need to make the agglomeration plate setup. This guy's recipe is just fire, air, water, earth, and mana. We can make all those in that setup over there. So let's set it up. For that we need 5 living rock. Place 4 right now, then 4 blocks of lapis. Another living block in the middle, and the agglomeration plate on top. To power it, you need to make some sparks. And you can see I've got sparks on all my pools. That's just some petals, some blaze powder, and a gold nugget. They're fairly cheap to make. And you just want to right-click to place them on pools or the agglomeration plate. So now the plate can pull from all these pools, and it'll power it very quickly. Now to make this work, you would manually drop a mana diamond, mana pearl, and mana steel, putting diamond, ender pearl, or iron into a mana pool to get those. And then stand back so you don't accidentally pick them up, because if you do, you lose whatever mana went into it so far. That's a big pain, so in this automation, we're going to fix that. So let's set up some parts here. We need a variable store, some cables. I think that's enough. There are 3 things I want to set up with this agglomeration plate. We're going to have an item importer. This is going to pick up the results of the crafting. We're going to have an item exporter that's going to export the ingredients. And while this part is optional, but I want to do it, block reader. Again, I want to have a display of its ability. If you don't want that, you can leave this part off, and we don't even need the variable store, I don't think. So what we're going to do is the usual crafting setup. I'm going to connect the inventory of that to the network. I'm going to have a storage terminal. I'm going to put that here. Oh, and then, yeah. Going to have another crate. I guess it can go right there with the crafting interface on it. One more cable, another item interface. Crafting job terminal to cancel things if we need to, and then a display panel for the extra credit. All right, so, and we don't need this right now. Is this right? Yeah, it'll work. All right. I have an MBT extractor. Oh, that was the other thing. I do need the MBT extractor. Where did I have that? Probably right here, because there's nothing attached there. Pop that there. Yeah, and then I've got these two. They'll come in later. All right. So what we want to do is first set up the crafting. So we want to set up a recipe for what we want to craft. And right now there's just one thing we want to craft. Go to here. Nope. This. Make a recipe, and we want to make Terra Steel. On the agglomeration plate. This is a more advanced version, but for some reason the regular one doesn't show up here. And that has the same recipe. So there it is. We just clear that out. So Mana Steel, Mana Pearl, Mana Diamond makes Terra Steel. Get the recipe card for that and put it in here. We are not done because it's going to put them into this buffer chest. We want to set this to channel 1. So it's basically on a different network. And we want to set the output guy here to channel 1. We also want to set the lifespan to max 999, 999, 999. Pickup delay, I'm going to set that to max 2. Velocity to 0. And everything else is fine. Now, one thing commenter reminded me, and I wasn't doing it just to make things clear, we can turn this into a Boolean true card, but just a blank card acts as true. So we can put that here, place all items with our configuration. So now anything that gets put into here will get dropped onto the plate. And I can't pick it up because I set the pickup to a 1.5 years. I'll never be able to pick that up. So we can fix that. I actually need that piece, so let me grab another one. Over here, I'm going to place another world item importer. I just connected to the same network. And we're going to set it to pick up all entities, true. And by default, ignore pickup delay is set to true. So it will ignore the delay. So if I stand anywhere, and I turn on my magnet, it jumps to me, but does not get picked up. My magnet won't pick it up. I'm turning it on and off because I don't want to pick up. Actually, I'm fine down here. All right, so with my magnet on, it will follow me. All I have to do is take it over to this guy, and now it's in the system. So that's the emergency recover for any items dropped by the system that have no pickup. This can pick it up. You will need a magnet, though, to get them over in front of it. So make sure you have a magnet before setting this up. At least not if you do it just like this. Because now, when it spits out the stuff, I can stand right on top of the Mana Pearl and the Mana Diamond, and I can't pick them up. There's no way to ruin that. Unless you come in here with your magnet on, then it'll yank everything off and put it at your feet. Now, you can walk it back over here, but it'll start over. It will have lost all its mana. So don't come in with a magnet. Alright, so this is exporting. Now we want to pick things up. It can't pick up. Well, we have to go in here and say, ignore pickup delay, false. Oops. That's the only thing I really need to change, and we'll set this to true. So anything this drops, this cannot pick up. But once it finishes its craft and it creates the Terra Steel, it's a brand new item, doesn't have the pickup delay, it gets sucked up and sent back into storage. So, as it is, it should work. Make me a Terra Steel. And I left my magnet on. Alright, well, let's carry it over here. Turn the magnet off. Oh, that was so fast. I got it. I'll just put it in the system here. Let's do that again with the magnet off. Make a terrasteel. Did I say go? Oh, hold on. At the first job, I interrupted it, so we got confused. There it goes. With all these pools with their stars, they all send packets of men over to it. It goes really fast. And there's the terrasteel. But I still would like to have this display, so let's set that up as well. We're going down to NBT, grab the NBT, put it in here. The mana that it's got, we'll get that, and then we'll just display it here. Now, this one counts down. This just counts up, and I don't know when it's going to stop. I think it's 1 million. No, it's 500,000, I think, for terrasteel. So half a pool. So 500,000. And I could go ahead and make a 500,000 integer card, subtract this card from it, and put the result onto the display. And the other card's in here, which I'm actually not, which I think I did before, which is why I have the variable store. But you don't have, well, let's go ahead and do it. It'll make more sense, I think, than the counting up. So make an integer, 500,000. And then we do a subtract 500,000 minus this. How much is left to get? Put these two in here. And actually, this card is sitting in here, and that makes it accessible. But we'll go ahead and put it in here anyway. And then this goes here, and that says, yeah, 500,000 minus the 0 because it hasn't gotten anything yet. There's no mana in it. So that's going to be a countdown. That works. You could also do a division instead, so it's a percentage. Either way. And that setup is complete. So we can now make all the terrasteel we need. We can turn some into nuggets. We can make hopper hawks, because that means we can make the hopping bonsai pots. That's going to make a yellow one. Do I have a pot? No, these are hopper bonsai pots already made. Just make a regular one by taking a pot and surrounded by terracotta. I'm out of terracotta, of course. Anyway, you can see we can now make the hopping bonsai pots, which are really nice. And that will help make the seeds for all the modium, vibranium, unobtainium, nitro, and there's at least one more, nether star seeds. They can only be done in the botany pot with either insanium farmland or magic soil. Actually, I think you can use them in a regular farm, but you have to have the crux underneath. Yeah. But that'd be sort of ugly in the setup I've got in the farm. So I'll probably just put them in a hopper bonsai pot with these others. But yeah, all these can only be done with the magical soil in a botany pot. Now that's the next thing we need to do. Magical soil. This requires killing the Gaia. To make the Gaia, we need to make pylons. Alright, that was next. Pylon. There are 4 levels of pylon. The first level is this. Gold, mana steel, mana diamond. Easy to make. If I was in the right interface, boom, we got one. The next level is Natura, which is terrasteel nuggets. We got those now. Eye of Ender. Boom, it's upgraded. The next level is Alf Steel. That requires Alf Steel, which is made using this purple version only. You can't use the blue one that we've got here, the Agglomeration plate. And then you need to give it the Elementium, Dragonstone, and Pixie Dust, which is the next level of mana steel, mana diamonds, mana pearls. For those, you need to use Elven Trade. So, working our way through this. Elven Gateway Core. Living Wood and Terrasteel. We can make it now. Like so. We also need 10 living. We need Glimmering Living Wood, which is living wood with glowstone. That's easy enough. And some plain living wood. And 2 of these Natura pylons, which we can make. Oh, and 2 mana pools, which I already have over here because I've got all the stuff over here. So we're going to put down the Gateway Core there. The 3 Glimmering, and then the 8 regular living wood. And the 2 pylons have to be over the mana pools. The placement of these mana pools is pretty vague. You can put them just about anywhere you want. I put them here because I've got some of these. See which potency and velocity. So these are set up, and I already pre-filled them because I knew that was going to take a while, and I wanted to keep things going fast on screen. Once they're both about half full, or one's full and one's empty, you need about 1 mana pool's worth of power, I think. It doesn't hurt to click this when you don't have enough. It doesn't use it up. It just starts to light up and then fails. But we got enough here, so they're going to light completely up. And it used just a small amount of it. But it needs more than that to actually activate. It just doesn't use it all. I think that's the way it works. Now that we have this, we can take... let's see, I think I've got a good bit of mana steel, don't I? Yeah, I do. Here's 32 mana steel, so half a stack. We're going to get 16 Elementium back. It's 2 for 1. For mana diamonds and mana pearls, I'll toss 4 each in here. They're 1-to-1. You get the same amount as you put back, or you put in. So now that we got these, we can start making that next step. Elementium. Toss those in here, because we're going to be using this system again. But first we need to make that new plate. So just remember the name of it. What is the stuff called? Elf Steel. But we need this thing. So it's the Elementium ingots, which we just now made. Oh, Glimmering Dreamwood. Winter, Autumn, Spring, Summer, and Asgard. I've got all those set up to be made. The Glimmering Dreamwood, let's see, 4. Oh, I took it out of my hotbar. Nope, not Soulstone, Living Wood. If you toss Living Wood in here, 1-to-1 to Dreamwood. Now, Dreamwood is useful because you can also make enhanced mana spreaders. And then once we get that Elf Steel... Oh, actually, we don't need the Elf Steel. We just need a Gaia Spirit and a Dragonstone. And then we can get the Gaia mana spreaders, which are the best. And I plan to upgrade all of those probably after this episode is over, once we get Gaia Spirits. For now, I'll just put it in storage. But we can now make that widget. Get our way through it here again. Yep, got all that stuff. Make it. It needs... We come over here and grab the stuff. Oh, and grab the... I already made a recipe card for it. It needs Shimmer Rock, which I forgot to show also... Shimmer Rock... Bifrost Block. So you toss Mana Glass, which is glass tossed into a mana pool, into the Elven Trade Portal to get Elf Glass. And then you combine the Elf Glass with this Rod of Bifrost, which is more stuff from the Elven Portal. The Mana Diamonds, the Mana Pearls, Mana Steel to make the Rod of Bifrost. That gets you the Bifrost block. You use the Bifrost block with Living Rock, and you get Shimmer Rock. Roundabout, but necessary. And then these are just blocks of gold. So I'm going to break this whole structure because the new one can do the same things it can. And we're going to put it, the Shimmer Rock and the gold blocks, and Shimmer Rock, and the Mana Infuser there. And now we can add one more recipe card here, using the Elementium Ingot, Dragonstone, and Pixie Dust to make Elf Steel. It takes more mana. So let's make up 2 of those and see how much it takes. Oh, I forgot to put the spark back on. But that still won't work because you also need to make the spark augment dominant, which is Mana Steel, a Rune of Fire, and some Pixie Dust. This lets it pull from all the pools. I gotta click it on the spark. There it goes. Now you can see that's gone negative because it does take more than 500,000, which is why I was saying counting up might be better. Otherwise, it'll be a little complicated to have it figure out which recipe it's doing and how much that particular recipe needs. Unfortunately, this thing doesn't have mana to get. Maybe when it's running it does. Let's see. Let's do you. Let's make 4 of them. This gives me time. Let's watch this, see if mana to get appears. Nope, just the output. Oop. Yep. Active goes to 1. And it shows what the output is going to be and how many. But it doesn't have a mana to get, unfortunately. That's something that might be recommended to the mod, but since the mod is sort of designed not to be automated like this, this one tells you what the mana to get is, this one doesn't. Doesn't really matter. So I'll probably just swap this back to be the base integer. Oh, not the integer, the base. How much mana is in it right now. It'll just count up. Simpler and less confusing when switching recipes. Put these away. Alright, so we can now make, let's look in here, Elf Steel. So now we can take that pylon we had and convert one of these to nuggets. And a gas tier, we get an Elf Steel pylon. And then we can use it one more time with Pixie Dust and Elementium to make a Gaia pylon. 4 of those and a beacon and a few other parts, and we're ready to fight the Gaia Spirit, Gaia Guardian. You can see everything upstairs is running to fill up the loss. On lesser machines than this room would probably cause your frame rate to really suck. I've had that on other machines in the past when I had a room with this much Botania mana generation going on. It got bad frame rate. This computer's doing fine, no problems. But I warn you, if you set this up and you don't have a really beefy machine, you might be experiencing some slowdown in here. Just on your side, if you're on a server, you're not hurting the server. This is all designed to be run, and it's just a lot of particles. You could probably turn the particles down, and it would help. But then you won't be able to see the beams and such. I think this room is done. I think we've got the Botania completely set up now. So, on to the Gaia. For that, we're going to go to the mining dimension. And I've got a refined storage network here, so I can still use my system. I'm not switching to the item. I've got one of the hotkeys bound to open it up. It used to be you could put this thing in your curios, but none of the slots accept it, unfortunately. Which is sad. I even took everything out and tried every single slot. It doesn't go in there anymore. I remember seeing it on my belt. Is there a belt? Some gloves. I have a magnet in my gloves. An anti-gravity ring. What was that? Oh, yeah. I forgot about that thing. If you turn that on and jump, it's pretty nice. It lets you walk around at whatever height that is, and crouching takes you down. It's sort of like a variant of flight. It's just not very fast to travel. I keep forgetting about it. But then you really don't want it on when you're just like wanting to jump, because then you can't fall. I'm landing on this and I step out and I just don't fall down. So I've got it there. Right-clicking turns it on and off. There's no hotkey for it, unfortunately. Sleep charm just to make sleeping go instantaneously. All right, so this is where we're going to fight the Guardian. I've already measured everything out. We've got the 3x3 platform for the beacon, a frame around it, and then 10 more blocks. So it's 11 blocks out from the edges of the beacon platform. And then from the beacon platform, 1, 2, 3 diagonal, and 1 up. And this is where we're going to put the beacons. So let's grab everything I want to use. I'm going to start with the beacons and the pylon first. So pylon, I'm not sure if we can keep these blocks underneath and have it still work. If not, we can take them out. We'll try them with them there. See what happens. Now you can play with the beacon and have it do stuff, but I think it gets disabled when you're doing the actual fight with the Gaia Guardian, which we will need some Terra Steel to activate it. But, like I said, I want to cheese it. I've got a mob crusher. Now, I first thought... Oh, wrong way around. I first thought about getting the mob crusher. This is actually this row from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is the 11th. So it's just outside the range. I thought about putting the mob crusher to get all the extra minions that the Gaia Guardian spawns during the fight. Looks like it's raining in the overworld. I didn't expect it to work on the Gaia Guardian itself. I'm going to put down an item picker-upper, just in case there's any excess things. Usually the mob crusher will gather all the drops, but I wanted to add that just in case. I'm going to give it a maximum range add-on, which, if we display it, covers the entire area. So you can see that we've tracked it out to the entire playfield for the fight. So that's the perfect size. This thing, we can crank it up real high and look at it. And it is also the same size. So we got everything covered by both these two machines. And that is the exact size, I think, of the Gaia battlefield, though that is a circle and not a square. This thing needs power, so let's drop a power unit to it. Redstone mode ignored. Always on. And it's now hooked up to our system, so anything they collect will be back in here. Oh, we want to make sure they're fast, though. So toss in some of these. I noticed that when you shift-click, poop, they pop over here. But if you had more than is necessary, like here I've got, whoops, I've got 6. If I shift-click, the 3 pop over here and 3 are left. But it also tags this on the importer. You don't want that, so click it to get rid of it. If you have the right amount, that doesn't happen. Okay, I don't need these at the moment. Let me get my sword. We're all set, and this is done with. We can put it away. Let's summon the Gaia Guardian. Oh, yeah, crouch, right-click. Ah, that's noisy. Alright, let's fight him. It works on the Gaia Guardian. Yeah, that means you can just hit it, let him spawn. I want to talk louder because it's so noisy in my ears. I'll turn it down for you. Hi, how you doing? Nice to meet you. And he's gone. Do notice that the ring goes right to all the edges of the playfield I've got set up. That works so well. So we just killed several. There is one drawback. When this thing does the killing... Oh, no, wait, not for this guy. We should now have Gaia Spirits. I should have a few more because I'd done this before, of course. Around Terra Steel will get you a Gaia Spirit ingot. I just made 5. These summon the Gaia Spirit 2. Different music. Now, he won't die from this thing, right? Yep, he died too. Oh, I walked through one of the spots there. So, yeah, this collected everything. Let's take a look. Botania. He gives you a lot of these envy. I've never made a Rune of Envy or Rune of Lust, but he's dropping a lot of those for you. Rune of Mana, Runes of Earth, Gluttony, Summer, Autumn. It drops a lot of the runes, so you don't have to make as many yourself unless you need a lot. He drops more Gaia Spirits. But you're going to see this Dice of Fate. I've got 17 of them here. I've killed this guy 17 times now. One problem, normally you would right-click these and it would roll and give you a random treasure item. But if we look at it here and hold Shift, this relic is not yours. That is the one downside of letting the Mob Crusher kill the Gaia 2, is that you will not be able to use these Dice of Fates. They are coded to their owner, and this guy's fake user is the owner. So, no dice for you. But everything else he drops, you do get. The runes are nice, but it's the Gaia Spirit, of course, you want the most of. And you could just whack them and let it go. Oh, that is so loud. I'm taking my earpieces out of my ear. You can probably hear it through my earpieces. Oh, did a little bit of damage to me. I need to enchant my armor. Oh, I'm not wearing... That's why I'm taking damage. I did upgrade my armor to unobtainium. There we go. Let's try it again. See if he hurts me. I think he'll still hurt me. I need to enchant these. Right now they just have indestructible. If I put protection and so forth... Well, he did a little bit of damage to me. Actually, I think it might have been the floor that did it. Not so much him. But not a lot, and he dies before I do. Every time. See if I just stand right next to this and just spam right-click on an auto-clicker or something. Nothing happens until it's gone, and then it starts up. Oh, that caused me to stand up. I guess... Oh, well, I ran out of Gaia Spirits. That's why it popped up the interface. But yeah, so you saw I almost run out of Gaia Spirits. Now I've got 52. So this is a great way to get tons of these things. And now that we have them, we can combine them with... Well, we can make Mana Steel, Terra Steel, and Elementium Seeds. But there's also... Was it crafting to do it? I thought for sure... No, it was the... Yeah, it's the... Gaia ingot is used here. There we go. 4 Gaia ingots, 4 Insanium blocks, and I've got plenty of those. Around an overgrowth seed. And you think, how do you make an overgrowth seed? Well, don't worry about it. You've been fighting the Gaia. So, overgrowth. I've got 13. I already used a bunch. You usually get one or two, or I don't know how many, but you get some from fighting the second tier Gaia. Then you can make the magical soil, which I did do. So let's put these away and head back to the base. Get rid of the rain. So here I've got a whole bunch of these hopping bonsai that we now know how to make with the magical soil. These have insanium for the trees that I was growing. I've got unobtainium, vibranium, alumadium, nitro crystals, and nether seeds. I got 3 more extras. They're all just being piped into one of these dimensional chests. I moved my garden blocks upstairs, and instead of piping these into these 2 guys here, I now have this connected to this one, so they're the same chest, and a whole bunch of maxed out speed and stack importers, 6 of them, one on each side, going into my refined storage system. With that infinite disk, we can hold everything, but I kept these guys as they were with the woods that I was growing and the new element. I can keep putting any new seeds I make in here, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to let them go in the disk. Don't really need to use this system anymore, but since I have it, instead of spending the time to empty them out, I'm just leaving it in there. And the conversion of the elementium, the inferium essence, to insanium blocks, which I've got 2,202. With this guy, I can leave that set up running. I do have these having the priority of 30 just to make sure that anything that's in them gets sent to them and doesn't go into the disk. And that is it for Botania. There's plenty of more in the mod to do at Botania. I mean, it's got almost 2 whole pages worth of stuff. Plenty of other ways to create mana. We're doing fine with the fuel. All sorts of decorative blocks, whole bunch of useful decorative, well, these aren't useful, these are decorative items for yourself, your character. But there are a bunch of useful tools and armor and rings, and you can get some limited flight, I think. Oh, that's the pixie spawn. Oh, the diadem, I think. Where's the diadem? But I'm not going to do any of those. Oh, here's the dice and some of the stuff you can get. A fruit that you can just keep eating and it never goes away. King's Law, Eye of Flugel, Ring of Thor, Ring of Odin, Ring of Loki. And then you can also get these. I think I got to get these will from the... do I have some of the will? Yeah. You get these things from the Gaia Tier 2. Oops. And what do they do again? You put all of them together and you get the massive wills. Which we'll need to make the Everlasting Guilty Pools. So need them eventually. But I've got them now, so we're ready for that when we need to. Fabulous Mana Pools, the Shimmer Rock we know how to make that. Rune of Sins. I probably have all these sins now from fighting the Gaia 2. Then we just need the Creative Essence. I think that's what we're going to have to start working on next time. We can make the Pure Rock using the Elemental Craft setup we've got. This just requires milk. Oh, yeah, I did crush a cow. Where did I set that up? It was over here somewhere, I think. Yeah, here he is. You make this bottle, put a cow on top of it, and then drop an anvil on him. And it squishes the cow into the bottle. I love that. But it makes milk. I just have it on a importer set to type fluids. And that's going into the system. I don't actually know how much milk is in there. Do I have... Yeah, I do have a fluid grid. I've got 3.3 million millibuckets of milk. So that's 3,343 buckets of milk. Set things up earlier and let them run, and then when you need them, you've got plenty. Anything else down here? That's the setup I showed you guys. That's all done, okay. Haven't changed any of that. Oh, I did add the osmium compressor, which I must have had at some point. I went looking for it, and I couldn't find it. I know I had it because I had the refined obsidian. To make that, you do need this machine, but I had to make a new one. I don't know what happened to the old one. I do not see it anywhere. This is the combiner. That'll let you turn ingots back into ores at a loss. I also made the induction smelter, signalium. Because I was going through all the seeds last night. Just like lapis, I had lapis seed. I can't make them all yet. So what is this? Signalum? Yeah, the signalum seeds. A lot of the JEI for the seeds are broken, but you can usually guess at what's supposed to be there. For signalium, need the Imperium essence and for signalium. And when you try that, it works. Do I have... I did make the seeds. I already have 1,000 just since last night. So now I don't need to do anything to make it. I can just make more. So if I need signalium, I got it. I'm just going down through the list. A lot of the ones that are mobs, like here Blaze, again, they require those soul jars. I haven't gotten around to, even though I've got a source of blazes, hadn't gotten around to making these soul jars. Because really all it does, the essence can be used to make blaze rods, magma cream, eye of ender. I've got ender pearls and blaze rods, and I've got slime. I can make all these from the mob farms, so I don't really need it. Could replace the mob farms, but I think they're a little faster. Gas seeds would be nice, but that would require killing 16 ghasts while carrying empty bottles. I might go ahead and do that because that's the only way to make ghast here. Oh no, wait, the catalyzing glands. If I make a mob farm for creepers, they drop these things. That can make gas tiers. Yeah, I'll probably do that. I'll probably switch one of the mob farms, maybe the blaze rods, over. Got 1,000,000 blaze rods. Switch them over to creepers. I might make the holding pen blast resistant first, though. Unfortunately, the only blast resistant glass is the one we're using for the wither spawner, and that just stuff's so ugly. But yeah, rock crystals, star metal, all the ones from Astral Sorcery. Got those guys. Uranite. I don't think I've got uranite. I've got uranium seeds, so I can make plenty of uranium, which I will be needing. Oh, the ones I'll be needing for next time. Fluorite, good, I've got fluorite. Sulfur. Oh. Now, there's two different types of sulfur. When you make this, want to make the seeds, again, it's one of the ones that doesn't show you the recipe. So you think, okay, I just need some sulfur. And you get that by sulfur ore, grinding it down. So I had a little bit of sulfur ore, ground it down to get this sulfur, put that in to make the seed. It doesn't work. The hint is always to go looking at the essence. So if I'm looking at the seed, and I'm trying to make the seed, but it doesn't show me what, go to the seed's output and see what that's used for. And that shows you this sulfur dust. And then you can see how to make that sulfur dust by some other means. And you can see you can do it in a pressurized reaction chamber, chemical injection chamber with gunpowder. Now I've got one of these as part of my 4X ore processing, and it's got hydrogen chloride in it. So I put some gunpowder. There's the hydrogen chloride. Put some gunpowder in here, and out comes that version of sulfur, which you can then use to make the seed. And then make more of the sulfurescence. We're going to need a lot of that. And uranium, I think that's it. Those are the 3 plants. I'm probably going to have a whole lot of them because we'll need those for next episode. Because we're going to get into mechanism fission. Fission first. I don't know if I'll go to fusion. Fission is going to be enough. And it's going to be big and potentially radioactive. So I'm probably going to have to do it somewhere other than here. Because I'd rather not make this place radioactive. Though I'm going to be very careful. Very, very careful. And part of that careful is making sure that if I'm not careful enough, I don't wreck anything. But I understand how the system works. I understand how to make things safe. So I think we should be okay. So, next time, non-radioactive Nonsanity will be here, doing some fission reactors. If you remember, fission is breaking an atom into smaller pieces and releasing energy and heat. Fusion is combining light element. It's breaking a heavy element into smaller elements. Fusion is taking light elements and combining them into heavier elements. That does not produce anywhere near. It doesn't produce the same sort of radioactive waste. It can do some slight radioactivity on the machines that it's in, but it's almost nothing. It's a much safer way to make power. Unfortunately, it takes so much heat and pressure and so forth to make the power that you can't break even. At least not yet. They're working on it. But we can do it in the game. But we might not go that far. So, until next time, this is Nonsanity signing out. Take care, be good, and see you next time.